Welcome to Therapy Facts with Dr. Jenn. Today we are talking about the therapy facts gleaned from the interview between Monique and Shannon Sharp at Club Shay Shay. Point number 3 is advocating for oneself. So, Monique talked about how she decided that when she was offered situations that she did not prefer, or experiences or made offers to her that did not meet her worth, instead of just declining those situations and walking away from it because she knew her worth, she advocated for herself. One of her biggest hallmarks is being offered certain amount of money to do a Netflix special that was way low, 26, 27 times below what other people with similar credentials were being offered. So she talked about advocating for herself with Netflix to say, hey, you tell me I have the credentials, the stellar credentials and the stellar portfolio as other people, but what you're offering me for the Netflix special that you want me to do is way below theirs. So please give me the money or the payment that is consistent with what you have given others whom you have designated in this high regard. And so, very often when people come to therapy, as I said before, they are really just trying to develop their voice. They are trying to be able to speak out loud and to speak into their own consciousness things that have happened to them, pains that they have experienced, traumatic experiences that have had a very negative effect on their lives. They are simply trying to find their voice. And so being able to then use that voice to advocate for oneself outside of the therapy room or outside of private conversations, well, now that's a big skill. That is a big skill. We often find people who need to advocate for themselves in their relationships. We call it speaking up for yourself, right? And so people come to therapy because they don't have a developed ability or well-developed ability for simply speaking up for themselves, to set boundaries and say no or say yes. And so being able to take the next step, to which is the next 2 or 3 steps over, which is actually advocating for oneself, looks like, for example, instead of leaving a job where you know other people are making more money than you for either the same job, or you're being consistently looked over for promotions and other special entitlements, instead of just leaving the job, because that's always an option, you use the opportunity, a client uses the opportunity at the job that they know they're probably going to leave anyway. They use that opportunity while they're still at the job to advocate for themselves. And so the big deal about advocating for oneself, however, is you stand up for yourself and you speak up for what you want, regardless of what you think the reception is going to be. Very often people will say, I am not going to say anything because I'm not going to get the response that I want. Well, you speaking up for yourself, learning to speak up for yourself and asking for what you want, and then expecting whether you'll get what you're asking for or not, those are two separate outcomes. Speaking up for yourself and asking for what you want tells yourself and it tells the audience that you value yourself and that you understand what your worth is. And you are looking for circumstances and situations that are commensurate with what you are worth. Now, the good news about that is simply articulating that to yourself privately, taking the next 2 steps to articulate it to someone else who is a decision maker. That submits in your mind, that those steps submit in your mind an intention an intention to be treated consistent to what you view as proper treatment, as just treatment, as fair treatment. And so even if someone says to you, well, no, you're not getting a raise, you're not getting a promotion, I'm not going to respect your boundaries, I'm not going to treat you well, then right there, that person or that organization has made it clear that they are not willing to give you what you're asking for, to be fair with you. And so then you have the option to exit those situations. When people let you know that they are not going to value you behaviorally, they're not going to treat you in the way that you want to be treated, then you have really good information. Now, that's some good truth right there. It might hurt, but at least you have something concrete and clear, and you can make a decision about what to do with it. Then now you can take that information and exit, take the steps needed to prepare to exit that situation without wondering about what if I had done something differently in the current situation, would something have changed? And so learning to advocate for oneself, in addition to developing the voice and knowing your worth, that advocacy piece is crucial. And as I said, Monique is a live out loud, shining example for knowing how to advocate for oneself.